Reeva is a student, not just any student, she is a final year law student. Her hobbies include meeting with friends, reading, and going to the horse races.
Reeva was going to be one of the most powerful young women.
She wanted to be everywhere.
Fame didn't change the Reeva we know.
A model and a law graduate, Reeva STEENKAMP was determined that South Africa would know who she was by early 2013.
Really fun production.
On Valentine's Day that year, she would become one of the most searched names on the internet, more famous than she could ever have intended.
Breaking news this hour. Oscar Pistorius is suspected of killing his girlfriend. Police have confirmed a woman was shot 4 times at a house in Silver Lakes in Pretoria. She was declared dead on the scene.
She sent me a message in the beginning of the month and she said, "G, this month is going to be amazing and it's going to change our lives forever."
Reeva STEENKAMP was born in Cape Town but moved to Port Elizabeth as a child. She attended St. Dominic's Priory School until she matriculated in 2001. Even now, her teachers and fellow pupils remember her.
Oh, Reeva was just a sweetie pie. She won't pass you without saying, "Morning, ma'am. Can I carry that for you, ma'am?" That's why I just have this picture of her, you know. It's not easy to forget about her.
When she got to grade 5, her teacher had just gone through a divorce and was feeling very down, and I think he must have opened up to the class about it. And she said to him he was not to worry, that she would organise a date for him.
When we get changed for like PT and sort of thing, she was always the one that would like randomly start singing or dancing in the change rooms.
Quirky, creative and funny, Reeva made friends easily, but she was also deeply compassionate.
Reeva was the type of person that everybody wants to have in their corner. Everything that you would need, when you need it, she would be.
She had a very free spirit. That good spirit of being able to communicate with people across colour bars, embracing everyone regardless of race, colour or creed.
Reeva's parents, Barry and June, separated when she was young. Barry lived and worked here at the Little Chelsea farm. Sam Govana was working as a panel beater on the same premises at the time and clearly remembers the young Reeva.
Yamano Reeva lo, yayingumntana okholisa ngapha ungakholisa ukuhlala phako kwabo, kholisa uzokudlala apha phakathi kwabantu. Ewe, ubuthetha naye lo mntana uyakwazi ukuma kumamele. Wena ncumane elihle lo mntana lo. Uqonda nawe xa ingathi binoba ngumntana akho lo, ungabe utshayisile. Umntana onesimilo ngolhlobo. Hayi ngumntana onesimilo lowo. NguReeva edlala apha, edlala no-swing apha. Ewe, engumntana obukekayo. Noba ubumbone namhlanje ufuna umbona nangomso ngangembeko yakhe.
Throughout her childhood and adolescence, Reeva's parents struggled to make a living in Port Elizabeth's horse racing world. But she gave little away about these difficulties.
She just took it in her stride. That's what she was. She didn't outwardly show that there was problems. You know, when Barry and June were living separately and June were living with Reeva, they used to sit together in the evenings. Reeva confided in her mother about everything, and that was so close that they had that relationship. They weren't just mother and daughter, they were greatest of friends.
While the teenage Reeva showed a sunny side to the world, her poetry revealed a darker aspect to her personality, rich with an awareness of the tenuousness of life and the ever-present possibility of death. In a poem called My Garden, she ends with the verse, "I sit and think, the willow holding me, and watch the breezes give life and take. There, in my garden, I can see, each life is at stake." It was also as a teenager that Reeva began the hobby that would later become her career, modelling.
She had a very beautiful physique, a nice posture. So I said to her, no, you have to try modelling, even if it's part-time when you are at varsity. She looked at me and smiled. She just said, thank you, ma'am.
She spoke about doing modelling, but she also was very level-headed. And, she also always said, or she told me one day that she's got to have something in the background because you can't do modelling forever.
Photographer Mark West was the first to capture images of the future supermodel.
She was a little nervous. Quite endearing actually. She wasn't one to hide anything, so it was very apparent that she was a bit nervous, but still very together. She was quite short, so that's in terms of modelling she was quite short, so the fashion modelling thing was going to be a challenge for her.
Despite her height, West says he knew the 15-year-old Reeva had promise.
She changed the mood of a room when she arrived. She had a certain presence about her, but it wasn't in a way that would that was showy or drawing attention to herself or anything. She just had a calmness and a serenity about her, and a distinct strength, but a gentleness as well.
As a teenager, Reeva already attracted a lot of male attention. But it would be the horse racing world that introduced the teenager to her first serious boyfriend, talented but short-fused jockey Wayne Agrella. Agrella was almost like an adopted son to Reeva's father Barry, and Reeva dated him for about 6 years. She even mentioned him during her interview at the Miss PE finals.
Let's give a bit of a family background when it comes to horse races. Tell everyone how you got involved to go and watch horse races.
My father is a racehorse trainer, my boyfriend is a jockey, so they're sitting up there and they make me go every Fridays.
Reeva has publicly claimed that she was involved in an emotionally abusive relationship while living in Port Elizabeth.
She did tell me that she had an abusive relationship, but she, not a physical abusive one at all, that I know. She hated conflict. She wanted to stay away from fighting.
In an interview with FHM, Reeva would also make what appeared to be a reference to that allegedly emotionally abusive relationship. What's the dumbest thing a guy has ever said to you, the magazine asked. Reeva answered, you'll amount to nothing without me. Agrella declined to speak to us about his relationship with Reeva, but did tell a local paper that she was, quote, the love of my life. Her parents remained close to Agrella, who was with them in the hours after they learnt of her death. Reeva would later claim that the loss of self-worth she suffered as the result of an emotionally abusive relationship had also coincided with one of the most devastating experiences of her young life, a horse riding accident that nearly robbed her of the ability to walk. The accident took place at the Little Chelsea farm where her father had lived and worked. Reeva was in the final years of her law degree.
The horse shied, she fell off and basically ended up breaking her back. It was pretty tough on her for being a very energetic person, having to lie still in hospital for 4 months, in contraction, and then at home as well. Had to do another 4 months, and then basically having a brace, continuously walking around with a brace.
She was paralyzed, and she never knew what the outcome would be. Neither did my brother know that. And when she lay in hospital, and she decided then that she wanted to do something.
They put her in traction. I mean, they didn't even keep her down. She lay there like making wise cracks about everything. And my son even said to her at the time, Reeva, do you know how long your neck's going to be? Because they're pulling you. But that's what she made light of everything. Even when it was bad, she made light of it.
Reeva recovered from the fall, but her experience of being unable to walk left its mark on her.
She never ever got back onto a horse after that. But it was a very traumatic experience for her. She did speak about it a lot. And she had to be careful what she did. So, yeah, she got through that, and I think it made her stronger too.
Reeva's horse riding accident seemed to only spur her on in her modelling ambitions. But her quirkiness was still apparent when she competed in the 2005 Miss PE competition.
I hope to show women in Port Elizabeth and perhaps South Africa that whilst you can hold a professional ambassadorial role within the city, that you can also enjoy being a young woman and be young and spirited and free.
Why do you think that individuality is important in today's society?
Well, Darren, this is the 21st century, and I think that with technology and the way the economy is moving, and especially Port Elizabeth as well, it's so important that if you want to make it as an individual and as a person, you need to stand out and you need to go out there and show people that you can be creative and that you have something to offer them. And yes, thank you.
Reeva didn't even make it to the top 5 section of the competition, but 2005 would be a life-changing year for her. She completed her law degree at Nelson Mandela University after funding most of her studies through academic bursaries. It was also the year that she was chosen as the first local face of international cosmetics company Avon. The Avon contract and her breakup with Agrella would propel Reeva into making a life-changing move to Johannesburg.
She often says to people, I packed a single suitcase and I came up to Johannesburg and I knew nobody.
It was in Johannesburg that Reeva met entrepreneur Warren LaHood in 2007. The couple started dating seriously in 2008 and were in a relationship for 4.5 years, during which time they lived together.
She really made everything warm. She made it, I can't explain it, she made it like you felt whole. And you walk in and you feel like, wow, I'm at home. It's nice and warm here.
LaHood supported Reeva throughout her fight to make it in the modelling world. Even then, the young woman was deeply concerned about her parents' finances.
She did worry about it. I mean, she had herself to look after, and she did worry about it, but she never resented the fact at all. It was just part of who Reeva was. I mean, they were her parents, and she'd give every last cent to them.
The couple's relationship was still relatively new when Reeva returned to PE to visit her mother at her home in 2008 and endured the horror of an armed robbery.
They broke into her house with her mom, and, you know, luckily they got into the bedroom while the intruders were inside and locked themselves in the room, and they're trying to break the door down, and I don't know what distracted them, and they eventually left. I mean, they came in there with pungas, and you know, they came in for a purpose.
The incident scarred Reeva, who wrote an emotional letter to a local newspaper about how criminals had rampaged through her mother's home, even as security guards were knocking on the front door. It is a very sad thought that we must now live like this, especially in Port Elizabeth. The reality of it all is that these criminals are here to stay, and they are getting away with their disgusting behavior. I would rather be too careful and aware than have someone we love injured or harmed in any way. Reeva and her mother reported the robbery at the Walmer police station, but it was never solved.
From there, she was scared of everything. I mean, any slight noise at night, she'd be up immediately, anything, and it didn't go away. She was very alert. It made her very alert and aware of what's around her, and you know, she was scared like that.
After the robbery, June STEENKAMP moved back in with Barry. Back in Johannesburg, Reeva went on to relentlessly pursue her modelling ambitions. With LaHood's support, she went to dozens of castings and became a regular feature on popular men's magazine FHM. Her hard work paid off. She was one of 12 models featured in the magazine's 2011 calendar, and in December she was chosen as the magazine's cover girl. But she wasn't earning big money.
For any model to build a full-time career out of modelling is rare, and if you're able to do that, that's quite an achievement already, because they're not paid very well. You might get $1.5 grand for a day's work.
For Reeva, however, her ambitions went way beyond the sexy shoots that first made her name. She had transformed herself from quirky teenage beauty to bombshell for a purpose.
I was shocked at the transformation, but I knew the reason behind the transformation. I knew that that's what was requested from her, for her to be in this industry, that she had to do those things to achieve her goals eventually.
Being on the cover of FHM was a job. It was a stepping stone to getting to where she wanted to be.
And she spoke openly about wanting to conquer the television world.
My name is Reeva and I'm a model, and we're in Jamaica this year. Be jealous, you can be jealous.
Reeva would come closer to achieving that dream when she was cast as a celebrity contestant in Tropica Island of Treasure, which was recorded in 2012. Actress and celebrity Phuti Komal shared a villa with Reeva during the competitive reality show.
She doesn't like confrontation, she doesn't like plotting, she doesn't like planning, she doesn't like all those things. She just wants to be. We called her Mama Bear on Tropica Island of Treasure.
Months before she was due to travel to Jamaica, Reeva split from longtime boyfriend Warren LaHood. She was briefly involved with rugby player Francois Hooghart, a close friend of Daytona Group head Justin Devaris. It would be through Devaris that Reeva would later meet Oscar Pistorius at a race day in 2012. The couple's chemistry was instant. At the time, however, Reeva wasn't focused on finding love. She was intent on furthering her career. She signed with Capacity Relations, a marketing and public relations company.
One of the things that she said to me is that she wants to be able to make enough money that she'd be able to support herself, not have the stress, support her parents, and just be able to pay her bills.
A month before she met Pistorius, Reeva also told Tomlinson that she hoped to find love again.
She was always, I want to fall in love again, and for me it is, no matter how you get hurt, I want to love again, and I want to be in love again.
Tomlinson and her team were, however, worried that Reeva's blossoming relationship with Pistorius would derail those plans.
Because we had created a very solid plan around her brand and how we were going to get her out and relevant and create that currency to make her generate the revenue and get the castings, it was important that we followed that path.
We did not want her to be seen, or rather labeled, as Oscar's girlfriend. We wanted her to have her own identity.
Reeva took her publicist's advice and initially described herself and Pistorius as, quote, just friends.
She was unsure. She was uncertain of whether she should pursue the relationship. She had just come out of a serious relationship and she wanted to get a breather. The next time we met was in Sandton City, and she was like, Oscar phoned me. She was in Johannesburg and he was in Cape Town, and he phoned and he said, I need you to be with me. Will you come down? And she said she sat and she thought, okay, should I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I? She was toying between the two. And then eventually, I remember she said, Stace, I said, Safed, I'm going to go.
Reeva and Pistorius would spend that holiday swimming and relaxing at a friend's private home in Camps Bay.
She had, in the beginning, had found love because she was loved like crazy by this guy, by Oscar. So, you know, when she even spoke about it, when it even started, like in the beginning stages, it was like a little overwhelming for her even.
Komal says Pistorius treated Reeva like a princess, cooking for her and driving her around. He also gave her gifts.
Excellent, well done. He was amazing to her. Amazing, amazing to her. He would do things that we only could see in movies. And I know that she did want love in her life, and at one stage we thought she had it.
She never ever mentioned Oscar's disability. I think I asked about the prosthetics and, you know, do you have to help out, or is there, you know, how do you deal with that? And she just laughed it off and she was like, no, Stace, it's normal, you know, it's like, that is Oscar. I wouldn't be with him if he was in another package, then it wouldn't be Oscar, you know.
Komal won't be drawn on exactly what Reeva told her about the later stages of her relationship with Pistorius.
It got overwhelming. It really got overwhelming to a point. And as I said to you, perhaps maybe the love interest at times, or as the relationship went on, you know, became different because of the intensity of the love, you know, from one party to the other, and which then took a toll on their relationship, on both of them, So, I mean, that's all I can say.
In the days before Valentine's Day 2013, Reeva STEENKAMP was preparing for her television debut on Tropica Island of Treasure. She was also consumed by emotion over the brutal rape and murder of Bredasdorp teenager Anine Boysen, who was raped, disemboweled and left for dead at this construction site. Reeva repeatedly tweeted about Black Friday, a day on which South Africans were urged to wear black in protest against crimes against women. Tweeting about Boysen's funeral, Reeva added the words, "Rest in peace, angel."
What Reeva stood for was very important, and I think we were all involved in that, is that thoughts on women abuse and on children, and what she wanted to do, to be an activist in that.
I can see this conversation, I can see where she was standing, where my dad was standing, where I was standing. She was talking about Black Friday, and she was talking about how women are ignorant and they're not allowing people to hear them, and people aren't allowing them to talk. And she wanted women, and she wanted to have a voice. She wanted women to have a voice.
She was tweeting about it. She was tweeting about Black Friday. It was something that affected her very badly.
On February 14th, Reeva STEENKAMP was scheduled to speak out against abusive relationships at the Sandown High School morning assembly. She wanted to urge teenagers to empower themselves and take control over their lives. The speech she had written was intensely personal and ended with Reeva encouraging her audience to, quote, "Be brave, always see the positive, make your voice heard."
She was so eager, she was glowing, because obviously with the kind of message she had, she was hoping to obviously inspire and motivate the kids, I mean, about her background, more especially Mulungu speaking Xhosa and her background, because for us, we believe that all the Mulungus had it easy, whereas she was a Mulungu who actually went through stuff to get to where she was. So for me, that was going to be the highlight, because most of the kids were like, really? Wow.
For me, it was about letting people know that with the right attitude, you can get anywhere.
Breaking news at this hour. Olympic icon Oscar Pistorius is accused of gunning down his girlfriend.
But Reeva never got the chance to make that speech.
We can confirm that there was a shooting incident this morning at the home of the well-known Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius.
Her father, Barry, has spent much time in the garden, coming to terms with the loss of his 29-year-old daughter.
Steenkamp woke up in this bed the day before Valentine's Day, and her room has remained the same since.
Days after her death, Reeva would make her TV debut on Tropica Island of Treasure.
I don't know. I don't know why I wanted to watch it. I didn't want to it was almost like if I don't watch it, she's not in my life. That was the only part of my life that she was in. And seeing her on television was the only way that I could keep her alive.
Cormo's grief is shared by all those whose lives were touched by Reeva.
She was very understated, and she never realized the type of person that she was. And I would just really try and make her aware of what she was and what she meant to people. Because essentially I would want her to know that she actually did touch a lot of people's lives.
she had so much. Like she, you know, people are supposed to die empty. They're not supposed to die that full.
The most saddest part for me was the fact that Reeva was going to be the star that was going to change a lot of young people's lives.
She wanted so much. She had so many things that she wanted to achieve. She wanted a family. She wanted to have kids. There was so much that she wanted to still experience, and it was taken away from her.
That is how we want our youth to grow like, you know, to become that kind of citizens who embrace one another, work together for the progress and survival of the country. And she would have done just that.
You deserve to know more. eNCA.com.